Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, with our main goal complete and the Greenskin Crisis well on its way to being done, we set our sights on other things, since I think at this point we can all agree we're kind of green-skinned out. And honestly, at this point we also only have like 5, maybe 6 things left on our grand to-do list. So I think what we're going to do instead is maybe head north towards Southwind Acres here, and just start peeling away at the fog. We might have to knock over another simple target or two just to keep our food supplies up, but if we can knock at least 1 or 2 more items off our to-do list today, then I will absolutely consider it a win. The easiest probably being Necrosavantash, which we still need for the Kraken, one of the other main items on our to-do list. But there is also a non-combat location we have yet to discover, plus, of course, those elusive Ents, who I have been told do spawn randomly in forest terrain like this. It's just, apparently we've been unlucky. But, we'll keep an eye out. We'll follow any beast tracks we see, just in case. Honestly, we could use more lindworms anyway. I mean, they're not much fun to fight, but we do need another potion. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock this one over. Keep those food supplies topped off. With the goblin masterminds of Rulgazix dispatched, the raiders scouted the surrounding countryside and saw firsthand as the Greenskin invasion all but disintegrated. The remaining goblin troops, devoid of proper leadership, fading back into their hidey holes in the deepest woods and darkest tunnels. The orcs, however, too stubborn or perhaps simply too dull to pivot, simply remained where they were, but now devoid of the strategic assistance of their smaller cousins, became easy prey for any halfway competent company. And the raiders, of course, were more than competent, at least in most things. There were perhaps some exceptions, but that was mostly in social norms. And so they set about mopping up some of the simpler Orcan targets on their way back to civilization, both to thin the threat, but also to top off their supplies. The meats might be dubious, but they still sustained life. Though, as they set into their latest target, they did notice something slightly peculiar. The Orc Slayer, Doug, whom had once approached every fight against the Greenskin with fierce resolve, had now instead begun to grow dull and listless. He still joined them on the front, crushing Orcancurus and the bones beneath. And yet he no longer seemed engaged. Rather, he was simply going through the motions, his mind 1,000 miles away. Barely even flinching as he was spattered with gore, an orc before him erupting from a blast of Mark's handgun. The rest of the raiders made note of it, but they had other things to worry about. Trip gutting another orc, Sarmal doing likewise on north, wounding a wary warrior. And so it went. The raiders weren't overly concerned about this particular foray, but they did keep themselves vigilant, just in case. No matter how skilled, how competent, all it took was one bad move to ruin a raider's day. Doug grunted, swatting an orc berserker aside. Diego dispatching the wounded warrior on north, moving to flank. Berlin held the south. Evening swung his archaic sword lance about, trying to get used to the weapon's peculiar balance. And one by one, another pack of greenskins was slain. One neath Tommy's spear. Another bled by Tripp's obsidian blade. Diego defaced a defender on north. Arrow harried with arrows. Random knocked one out of joint. As did Rook. And though the Raiders took a few bumps and bruises, as expected, the orcs posed no real threat. Oh. Though, as ever, the Raiders did remind themselves to stay on their guard, for overconfidence truly was a slow and insidious killer. But as the last of the Orcan resistance crumbled on north, morale began to flag. The warrior in question now clearly had second thoughts. Two of his companions shredded by shrapnel, barely staying upright. And Tommy toppled them the rest of the way over. The rest of the Raiders focusing on a fighter that had worked his way round to the rear. Rook blocking him off. Verlin moving to support. The anatomists moving with practiced precision. Though they were still at heart men of science. Strange science, but still science nonetheless. Long months out in the field had forged them into something much sturdier than what they had once been. And so even as they found themselves bull rushed aside by one last belligerent brute, a few gestures of the banner, and the company quickly converged, obeying the unspoken orders as the battle was brought to bloody end. There we go. Fight's over. Second to last dispatched by Arrow, and the final, now fully surrounded. Doug taking a step back, letting the rest of the Raiders have their fun. And Zarmal dispatched the last. Oh. And as the Raiders rummaged through the Orcan equipment, he whistled low, plucking up a bag clearly plundered from some unfortunate traveler or another. A collection of exquisitely edged throwing hatchets. A rare find, something actually worth the Raiders' time, as opposed to the usual crude, clunky blades that the orcs otherwise had in abundance. Though, speaking of which, given scarcity of space here, I think at this point we're only going to take things worth over 1,000. Which this would definitely be. So we'll want that, we'll leave the rest. Though I will say, I'm not sure if those actually hold up against the bronze throwers. They're good compared to normal hand axes. But the barbarian bronze throwers are a bit of an odd case because they're basically super heavy variants. Which is why, most dedicated throwers tend to prefer them over the standard. So let's get a quick look here. Yeah, see, right off the bat, that's a pretty big hit on overall damage. 25 to 40 on the Exquisite Edge versus 30 to 50 on the standard Bronze Axe. They do have better accuracy, but I mean, is +5 accuracy really worth losing all that damage? They're lighter, I guess. You do get more. You get 8 before they run out. I don't know, man. I feel like that's a pretty hard maybe at best. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards no. But we'll keep them in our arsenal. Still nice to have. That said, on we go. Oh, well. This was a task like none undertaken by the men of the company before. To fend off an entire invasion by some of the fiercest foes man has ever faced. A foe that could not be reasoned with, whose alien mind knows not mercy or compassion, but only war. Orcs and goblins had united in a savage green tide that threatened to wash away the race of man. Under a pitiless sun at day and by the light of burning towns at night, the company campaigned against the green menace across the borderlands, rooting it out wherever it raised its ugly, scarred head. The men faced many a hard battle and made many a sacrifice, but it was all worth it in the end. The RetconRaiders prevailed. After many a savage struggle, after uncounted days where each man's life seemed to hang on the roll of a die, the green tide finally seemed to ebb. As orcs and goblins scattered back into the wild, you know that the world of man is saved. For now. Though it is important to note this is not actually the event ending, this is just the ambition firing, which means that the actual event end won't be too far behind. It'll fire at the nearest town, gives us a narrow window to hopefully get one more thing done. I mean, I will say at this point, I don't think we're going to end it immediately, but I don't think we've got enough left to really justify a third full cycle. So, we'll do a little bit more as sort of bonus overtime, just to see if we can bag 1 or 2 more goals. But then it might be time to call it. There are no more real threats beyond things that were simply not built to handle, like the sunken library, and I mean, the monolith's a hard maybe. We might be able to take it. We might give it a shot. Honestly, the Kraken's kind of a maybe too, but I would like to give it a go. Let's go ahead and knock over this base camp. Should make for a nice quick skirmish, just to snag some more supplies. We're actually making decent time in clearing out more fog. Still haven't found what we're looking for, but, even if we don't find it this trip out, it narrows the field for next time. As the Raider recon continued, the Raiders found themselves bypassing more and more camps. The Greenskins had been thoroughly defeated already, the Anatomists had minimal interest, and yet they still fell upon the occasional camp, both to resupply but also to keep these cursed cads from growing too complacent, too used to the Raiders, simply ignoring their presence. Now that word had spread across the region of the fiery downfall of Ruzgalix, the Raiders had become something of a greenskin ghost story. Not mere men, but monsters, assuming their form. No doubt worked into their malignant mythology. Some manner of natural arch-foe of whatever esoteric deities they worshipped. Or perhaps remnants of the ancient empire, come back to reclaim the ruins these rapscallions had so long squatted in. This is kind of interesting terrain. I wonder if we actually get any cover from the, like, double high cliff face there. I don't think we do, but I will be curious to see if they attack us. As for the fight itself, we are in slight danger. The Overseer with a height advantage is an actual valid threat. But he won't last long once we make actual contact. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It does not impact block line of sight. Which is fair. I didn't really think it would, but it would have been nice. Let's go ahead and run these guys down. After an awkward ascent, Val drew first blood, goring a goblin guard. Arrow taking aim, but unable to find a good angle. Rassel taking the roundabout, forcing the goblins to split focus. Seymore surging up, setting near spiked wall. With the rest of the raiders quickly following suit. Verlin bull rushing in. Oh, yep, okay, thanks. That's honestly what I was trying to get you to do. I appreciate your cooperation. Though I could have lived without the net. Evening, falling upon another. Nicely done. And the Overseer desperately tried to push them back, screaming shrill commands at his cohorts, though to no avail. Whilst his minions hadn't fled just yet, they also seemed likewise hesitant to fully engage. Simply pitching in from afar, taking jabs from safer distance, leaving their leader to hold the line. Weird, it's almost like whipping people doesn't engender loyalty. Who'd have thought? Rassel engaged on north. The Overseer staggered, swiftly overwhelmed. Verlin freed up Seymore. His foe meeting random end. Doug stepped up. A casual, uncaring backhand, the Overseer driven to the ground. Seymore slaughtering the one beside. And then another, for good measure. Seymore having less luck. Sorry, bud. Oh, wow. And he got away. Oh. Insult to injury there. All right, let's not have that. But with their leader dead, the Goblin garrison was broken. Some still standing to fight, but most now fighting to withdraw. With a few exceptions, it would seem. Not that that was apt to really work out for them. One stunned on north. Arrow pinning another's arm. Mal mutilating a third. Evening fell upon another as things got out of hand. Yeah, that guy's gone. We could sick the dogs on him, but it's really not worth the effort. We'll take our last few kills and be on our way. We're really just here for the food, plus any potential high-end loot. Oh, wow. Doug really figured your armor would be heavy enough to avoid that. Interesting. I guess maybe the helmet's still pretty light. But yeah, that body is named plate. That should easily block a goblin arrow. And with that, the final foes fell. The raiders making half-hearted pursuit of the last. Though they held up after a few steps, content to let him flee. To further spread the tale of the company's terrifying wrath. The Reavers of Rulgazix. The monsters among men. Nicely done, raiders. And yeah, not a ton here worth taking, but we'll grab the crossbow, we'll grab the supplies. And on we go. Just keep carving away at that fog, long as we've got the food for it. Man, I really hope we find something out here. Also, we should be about due for a random event. Hopefully we get something interesting. Though unfortunately, I think the biggest ones we're waiting for at this point are mostly locked to only take place in very specific terrain, usually near towns, like Mark and Mal. Oh, and Rassel. Rassel's got one too. Honestly, kind of shocking. We haven't seen that fire yet, considering how long we've had him. New ambition. We'll do this one. We should actually be pretty close. Where are we at right now? Legendary. Oh, wow, but still 2,000 short. Okay, so we're actually not... We're not, like, hugely off, but we've got a ways to go. Alright, fair enough. I suppose we have kind of been neglecting actual contracts for a while now. We'll do a few once we get back. Honestly, that might be the most reliable way to track down Ents at this point. The Shrot. Or Lindworms as well. Since, again, we do need to replace that potion, get Seymore properly dosed up. Flesh Eater's Cavern. We'll pass for now, but we'll see how we're doing on food once we swing back round. I actually thought we'd be seeing more undead strongholds since I did kind of get the impression that this was supposed to be ancient undead territory, but apparently not. We're still seeing a lot of green, which is a shame because, like I said, I felt like Necro Savants were probably our safest get out here. Though at this point that might be further south. Honestly, I think we've got a vampire den further south. And yeah, let's go ahead and knock this out. As recon continued, the raiders found their stores running thin, and yet the anatomists insisted they continue their ever-expanding search patterns. They seemed intent on finding something, but were loath to explain exactly what. And thus, facing imminent food shortage, the raiders fell upon another ill-guarded Orcan camp. Though, curiously, this time, Doug begged off. Gone was the single-minded fury that had once driven the Orc Slayers every step. Where the other stranger they had met in the ruins of Rulgazix had simply seemed more impassioned by their success, Doug simply seemed tired. Like a man who had lived well beyond his years. Revenge had not been sweet, it had simply been. And so the raiders went in without. His help had been welcome, but ultimately unbidden and certainly not needed, given their own martial might. The unfortunate berserkers swiftly butchered. Blood and body parts flying about. The first falling to a blast of Mark's musket. Giannis eating the next as Diego held the line. Spear set, inviting the enemy in. An invitation quickly accepted, though with uncharacteristic option. No bull rush. That's slightly unusual. Perhaps even the orcs had now realized the folly of facing the Reavers of Rulgazix. Oh yeah, they're being uncharacteristically cautious, though again, that might be because they're being too cautious about the set spear. Another blast blistered brutish bodies. Verlin vanquishing one, then vaulting back. Rook running another through. Giannis yanking another apart. Evening ending one on North. Tommy took one down with his last spear. Then disarmed the next. Only 4 left. Wow, this one went quick. The last couple of orcs circled wide, too clever for their own good. And the time it had taken them to make their approach. The raiders had already run the rest of their number to ground. Giannis cutting things short on center. And the raiders readily rebounding, following through with the flankers. Who, to be fair, do technically still pose a threat, the Mansplitter in particular, if he can actually land a hit. Though, good luck on Diego. Dude's a pretty decent tank. Ooh. An arid swing decowled the company sergeant. Hey, there's that handsome face. Been a while since we've seen that. Random returned the favor, bones crunching neath heavy flail. Tommy axing one out. Rook avenging his hat. And then there was one. Though not for long. Swiftly slaughtered by the full fury of the raiders. Who's got this? Ooh, probably Rax. Yeah, that'll, I think that cuts it. Obviously not much of a fight, but, you know, a little more XP, plus loot, and of course what we're really here for, which is a modest amount of rations, less than I'd like, but we'll take it. Plus some additional sales fodder. Though we are, unfortunately, perilously low on provisions at this point, so we really should start angling our way back. Man, that's kind of a bummer. I was really hoping we'd find something out here. Oh well. Maybe next time out, let's, for now, I suppose we'll just head back. Officially round out Crisis 2. Which, as aforementioned, will not necessarily mark the end. We'll push a little past that. Enough, at least, to trim a few more items off our to-do list. Oh, shit. Well, would you look at that? Speaking of our to-do list. The grotesque tree. A small clearing in the forest centered around a curious, slender tree. Something seems to be off about this tree, but it is difficult to make out from afar. And that's it. That's the final named location. You stand at the edge of a forest clearing, and the sight therein beggars belief. A trunk of a human body runs up out of the earth like a slender tree, naked and bristling, goosebumps for bark, continuing upward until it is twice as tall as yourself. There are no branches, there are no hands. There are, instead, a series of human heads bound in a bunch where a tree crown should be. From left to right, they are babyish and beautifully presented, ambiguously sexless, malformed creations of time, it seems, where the shadows they themselves author turn their faces from ones oddly familiar to strangely naive, as they stare about as though they know not how they got there and seem ever ready to ask it of you. It reminds you of a drowning you happened upon, the face contorting beneath the running river water, the flesh suffering nothing short of a constant conjecture as to what put it there. Whispers sift in from the trees. They riffle over the ground as if spoken by the bugs, and they clamber up your arms until they scratch at your very ears. They ask you to stay. Which the raiders, of course, are not of a mind to, but upon the anatomist's insistence, they approach. Upon entering the clearing, the bizarre creature straightens up, swaying its head from side to side like a peacock readying a display. They speak to you. The elder, yes, here. Yes, him. We know him. We knew. The faces warp and discolor as though blemished in the wake of the words leaving their very mouths. Slowly they reform to speak again, a grotesque panoply, punctuating itself one head at a time. Drink little, heal all. Drink all, become one. You look down to see an earthen overhang curving across a puddle the size of a plate. There's a faint trickle as water drips into it from the overhang, and from where that water comes is anyone's idea. You look up to see the faces looking down, their appearances molding from anguish to happiness to surprise to fear to confusion. Familiar, always familiar. Drink little, yes. No, drink all. Looking back down, you take out your water skin and pop the cork. And you know, as odd as that delivery might be, I feel like the message is pretty clear. I am very distinctly saying, drink little, yes. No, drink all. and mentioned that drinking all becomes one, which, you know, given the state of this thing, probably not the best fate. You crouch beneath the grotesque tree. The heads sway downward, the shade coming with them as though someone were placing the lid upon a basket. When you look up, they stare from a foot away, rippling and forever moving, yet one at the far end is very still. Its face is stuck on an old man's grimace, the brow furrowed, the jowls taut. The elderly lines ever creased as if the fury was folding upon itself like a well-crafted sword. A bulb of darkness surrounds it, the penumbra pulsing, as if the head was staring in from another world altogether. Hands firm, you take the water skin and pour out its contents. Empty, you put it beneath the dripping overhang and listen to each drop hit its bottom. The faces lean in ever closer, surrounding you in a cone of chaos. As they draw near, you can hear the tearing of their reality as they come to and fall out of shape. The water skin shakes in your hand as if you had held it up against the surge of a waterfall. You yank it out from the overhang, and as you tumble backward, you realize the heads have long since reared upright. Rolling over, you crawl your way to your feet and run out of the clearing. Seemingly safe, you look back and see the creature is gone. There is nothing there at all. No tree, no fountain. The water skin, however, remains. Quickly claimed by the company anatomists. Best to keep this safe. Which honestly does kind of feel like it's the ultimate endgame for an anatomist crew. Unlocking the secrets of eternal life. I mean, mechanically, it's a little less impressive than that, of course, but still a pretty solid, if very unique item. Water skin. A leather water skin filled up with the liquid from beneath a bizarre human-shaped tree. It whispered in your head that you should drink it to heal. Removes all temporary or permanent injuries, as well as the old, addicted, exhausted, and hangover traits. Obviously a bit of a waste to use it for most of those traits, but that is the only way to reverse old. An affliction I think unique to the Swordmaster. Solid, relatively affordable combatants, but ones which eventually sort of naturally retire. Though not with this. This would allow you to keep a single one around, since you could use that to reverse that aging, thus restoring them to their prime. I mean, a bit late in the game for us to really do that now, but we might see if we can pick up a Swordmaster somewhere. I imagine the anatomists would want to put this stuff to the test, and we can always imagine they keep a bit off to the side for further research. That said, mission accomplished, but we are running really low on supplies, so let's double time it back. Might pick off another target or two along the way just to keep from running too low, but not that. We're not going to get ourselves into a big knockdown, drag-out brawl with goblins, not when we only have 7 supplies. Really? Come on. Give me something easy. Something we can steamroll in passing. Which definitely isn't that. That wouldn't even give us food. Though if there were Necrosavants, I would have made the stop. Oh, gosh darn it. A bunch of our food just expired. We could double back, but there's no guarantee that would give us enough to make a difference. No, we'll just full sprint. No waffling. We'll lose some mood, but we should be okay. We have a paymaster that prevents people from actually quitting over it. And Damwald's not that far. It's like a day out. No, too much. If we're going to close this out, I'd rather close out on an event. The official conclusion of Crisis 2, as opposed to just another goblin fight. Oh yeah, we're fine. We're fine, nothing a few rounds of drinks won't fix. Welcome back, Raiders. Damwald's certainly seen better times, but it, much like us, will survive. I like the rumor pointing us towards the place we literally just passed. The barbarian outpost we keep deliberately ignoring. That's where we met the barbarian king, the one we teamed up with. Oof, wow, not much in the way of supplies. So let's push over to Oberberg. That's a full-on walled keep that should have a much healthier market. That'll be a good place to offload all this vendor trash as well. We'll also want to start scouting local contracts, but let's get this done first. Ultimately, our next goal is to find some Ents, find some lindworms, get some ash. Which this will not do, so we'll pass. But I think we do actually have a Necrosavant stronghold somewhere on the map. I'll have to poke around between episodes, see if I can pinpoint exactly where it is. But for now, let's go close out this crisis. That'll be a good place to call it. Hey, there we go. You come across a handful of soldiers from House Goswin. They tilt their caps at you. Evening, mercenaries. Not sure if they're about to attack, you make a subtle nod toward King's Rook. He puts his weapon within hand's reach and nods back. You return your attention to the soldiers, giving them a friendly wave. Their lieutenant steps forward, grinning. Oi, mercenary. We've little use for you in this world now. Slowly, you lower your hand, hovering it above the pommel of your sword. You ask what the man means by that. He laughs. You haven't heard. War's over. The Greenskins were routed from Anglin just a few days ago. Scouts report seeing them bastards running for the hills every which way, fighting amongst themselves. The orcs killing the goblins, goblins killing the orcs, just a full-on rout. So yeah, noble houses need not pay your sorry arse for nothing now, because us real soldiers got it under control. Now why don't you and your pathetic lot clear out of the way? Us fighters got places to be. Understand? Rook, you are technically my employer. You have anything to say about this? The soldier's lieutenant glares at you. Do as I say, sellsword, or there'll be trouble. Ignoring him, you toss another look towards King's Rook. He gets up, the haft of his banner loudly scraping off the dirt. The soldiers turn to the anatomist. He hefts his banner in both hands and stares back. As the lieutenant starts to talk, King's Rook bluntly interrupts. Shush, little man. I see softness in your skin. Not a scar to be seen, eyes as fresh as the day they were born, hands as smooth as untouched candles. If you was of the fighting sort, you'd be out there in those battles you speak of, not out here pissing into the wind. I'll give you two options because I'm feeling nice. First option, are you listening? First option is this. Go where you are going and don't say another goddamn word. He pauses to hold up two fingers. Option 2 is a mystery. Speak, and ye shall learn of it. The lieutenant's eyes have gotten a little wider, and his mouth infinitely quieter. He glances at you, but all you can do is shrug. After another moment, the soldiers hurry away with determined silence. King's Rook chuckles as they depart, quickly returning to his papers. But the incident has left you wondering if perhaps it is finally the time to retire. How many more of these cock-ups are in your future? How many more battles? How many more dead men will you have to bury? The company would do well standing on the foundations you built for it. But on the other hand, if you retired now, what adventures would you miss out on? Well, there's not that many left to have, but that is a good point. We do still have a few left ahead of us, I think. As aforementioned, I don't think we're going to make it through a full third cycle, but we will start winding things down with at least 1 or 2 more legendary targets. You know, apt to have a bit of a body count, I'm sure, but what better way to bring things to an end? Let's get ourselves to Overberg, then we'll call it. Oh, and speaking of end, Douglas the Orc Slayer walks up to you. Well, I guess that's it then. There ain't as many orcs and goblins round to kill. I bid you farewell, sellsword. You ask what he's going to do. He takes off his armor and puts it on the ground before you. My family has been avenged. You nod and wish him well now that his apparent demons have been put to rest. He laughs. Just kidding. I don't have no family. I killed them bastards because I enjoyed spilling their guts. But my heart isn't in it anymore. Send the rest of the men my regards. And with that, the Orc Slayer, or former Orc Slayer, departs the company. Douglas the Orc Slayer leaves the Retcon Raiders. Godspeed, Doug. Sad to see you go, but happy to have had you with us, even if just for a bit. And with that, I think we are at a good place to call it. Get some rest, boys. Next round's on me. We're not quite done just yet, but it does loom on the horizon. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the off-screen bookkeeping, dump all our vendor trash, resupply, and then start scouting local quests and recruits, since we now have another slot open. I mean, granted, whoever comes in is going to be, you know, they're going to be a glorified cameo at best, but still, a little time on the roster is better than none. And we will pick up here next time, as we continue whittling down that list. The beginning of the end. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.